Hey, what's up YouTube? So today we start the build and progression on the C7 Corvette. So we're going to get started with the long tube headers. It's one of the hardest things I find to do in this whole bolt-on combo that we put together. So we're just going to get it out the way. As you guys can see, it's actually a lot harder than well, we anticipated. The fuse box is real close to the engine bay, the alternator, everything. So it makes it very hard to get your hands in there to take the headers off. So what we're going to do to tackle this, and this may be the easiest way we think, we're going to remove the fuse box, we're going to remove the alternator, we're going to remove the overflow, the coolant overflow tank to kind of give us more access. And we're also going to, since we're going to change the intake manifold and, you know, add a catch can and all that stuff, we're just going to go ahead and just remove all the engine bay covers, the cold air intake, and just kind of open this whole area up for us, give us a little bit more space to work. So yeah, but just a quick disclaimer, guys, we're not professionals, we're just some backyard hobbyists that like to party. So we're bringing you guys along for the ride, just so you guys can get some better insight and see the progress and the progression of the C7 Corvette, which is going to be a pretty fun build because as you guys all know, Richard, he has a Corvette and he knows how to drive them, and you know, it's going to be real fun to kind of have a C7 on C7 battle. And he's a good friend of ours, so he's always fun to have around. So it's going to be real cool to match these two cars up together. But let's get to it. Let's get busy. Let's knock these long tubes out and fire her up. So let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is remove the valve covers. And if I remember correctly, you just kind of not the valve covers, the engine bay covers. Just pull them up like this, and they slide right out. So we'll clean these up for Daniel too. And the same thing on this side. Basically, you'll just pull them up. This was a little bit more tricky because of the fuel line, but not too tricky, I guess. Right there. Okay. Then we're gonna go ahead and remove this vacuum line. These vacuum lines that you see here, to remove these, you have to press down on here. They have a little clip there, and you pull them out. Okay. Same thing for the one inside. Okay. Hopefully you guys saw that, or I might have been in the way, but that's how you take them off. Just press them in here. Kind of see how that works. So take the lines off. So once you guys remove the covers, to remove this fuse box is actually not that hard. It has some little tabs here. So what you would do is you press them out, push it out, pick it up, push it out, pick it up. That's how you get it out. Same thing on this side. Okay. Come up like that to give you enough room, and then you'll remove this cover. Okay. And then there's a little 13mm bolt here, and this is the one that holds the power leads. So all you would do is just take this one out. I already hit it with the little 13mm impact ratchet, so I already got it loose. You'll pull that out, okay, just like that. Okay, and then you wiggle this thing out. Okay, just like that. And voila, the fuse box comes off. Well, the top part of the fuse box. Okay. You will have to remove the harness plugs, and what I like to do is just grab your cell phone and take a picture of it, so you guys don't forget, you know, how it goes when you put them back. Nice picture, just like that. And basically, these plugs, to take them off, it's real simple. There's a little tab here, and you slide them back. Just like that. Okay. And you just kind of get them out your way. You would basically press the little tab and pick this guy up. Okay, just like that. Not too bad, huh? So it is a little tighter here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is remove the bottom part of the fuse box to give us some space. And it looks like 10, I believe. It looks like just one. Yeah, it's just one. So let's go ahead and remove this guy. Out of the way. Let's do that. Oh, there's more. There's two more there. So once you remove the harness plugs out the way, what you're going to want to do is take off the 10mm bolts that hold the bottom housing of the plugs here. As you guys can see, not too bad. Basically, you take off the top part of the fuse box, slide the plugs out, and then there's 3 bolts holding the bottom housing to the car. Technically from here, I can actually get to the heat shield and the header bolts, but I might just take this off anyways, just to make my life easier. So, why struggle, right? Okay, so what I'm gonna do next on this one, I'm gonna remove the coolant overflow tank. And it looks fairly straight, pretty simple. It looks like a 2 10mm bolts. So let's try that. Now don't beat me up, I have never done long tubes on a Corvette C7, so I'm learning. Just like you guys. So this is what I'm going to do actually. I'm not going to remove it entirely because I don't want to spill coolant all over the floor. So I'm just going to remove the 2 bolts that hold it in place and pull it out, and I'm just going to tilt it, as you guys can see here. And I have enough space to do everything that I need to do, and I don't make a mess. So that's going to stay right there. That's perfect. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the spark plug wires off. So let's try that. And these you simply just pull them out. The hard part is going to be getting the boots out. Okay, so that's 1, 2. A little trick is you grab a flathead, you kind of grab one end, you pull it, and this one you kind of just push out with it. It helps. Most of the time, at least. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so I'm going to try to avoid take the alternator off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and remove the heat shield off the exhaust manifolds. And I think I should be able to get to all the bolts without taking the alternator off. Because in reality, we don't really need to take the belt off or anything that we're going to do today. So that would be redundant work. So we could do it here, just like this. We're solid, we're gold. So let's try that. Okay, so I'm gonna get a 10mm shorty for the heat shield. Alright guys, so as you guys can see here, looks like I don't have to remove the alternator. It looks like I have a clear path to take this exhaust manifold off and put the long tube in. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pull the spark plugs out, because it has happened to me in the past where I'm replacing headers and I'm trying to be lazy and I don't remove them. I end up breaking one or cracking one, so I'd rather just use my little electric ratchet here and just kind of take them all out real quick and not risk breaking them. So Let me grab a regular ratchet to break them loose, and then I'll use this guy to remove them real quick, and then we'll move on to opening up that side. We'll pick up the car and we'll do the whole bottom part of it. So that's the game plan. So we're gonna hold off on removing the alternator, and I do read that you have to take it off, but I don't think so. So we'll play it by ear. Okay guys, so as you guys can see, we already cleared up the whole passenger side, which is the hardest part to do. This one's a little bit easier, I believe. But on that side, we got rid of the fuse box. We shifted over the overflow, and we actually got a little bit ahead of the game, and we removed the cold air intake and a little shroud there, so we have a lot more space. Now I'm going to move over to the driver's side, which from what I read is the easiest side to do. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to remove the valve cover, not the valve cover, but the valve cover, I guess. If anybody knows what these are called, please let me know. Just because valve covers are underneath, so those are the valve covers of the covers. Engine dress up, whatever. But yeah. I gotta say, guys, it's a lot harder to work and do these videos. So if they don't come out that great, you know, I apologize, but it's kind of hard because you're trying to like work and then you're trying to articulate thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah, disclaimer, they're not perfect. Actually, before I take this cover off, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the fuel line. So to remove this fuel line, it's pretty simple. I'll show you guys. You need a fuel line disconnect tool, which is like these little plastic rings. And basically you're gonna put this in the fuel line and then push up, and it's gonna unlock it, and then you pull it out. You simply just have a rag there to kind of soak up the fuel, but not too hard. Let me grab a flathead so I can take this little clip off. You just take that out like that and push down, slides right off. Okay, once you do that, grab a rag, soak up some of that fuel. There it goes. Okay. So you guys can see there. Pull that off. Now you should be able to remove the valve cover, thermal shield, whatever it is. Okay, just like that. Oil cap back on. Okay, so let's move on to the spark plugs. And like I said, remember that little trick. Pull these guys off. And you grab your flathead. And grab a longer one. Take these guys off. Okay, so from the looks of it, we might have to take off the steering column because we have to remove the heat shields, right? So we won't be able to get to the bottom bolt unless we remove the column. So the wheels are straight there actually. Yeah, the wheels are straight there, so we're good. We could actually just take it off. It looks like it's just a 10 mil. 13 mil. Okay, it looks like it's just a 13 millimeter, so let's go ahead and take it off. Okay, so that's the steering column right there. So we're gonna remove that guy there, and hopefully we should be able to slide the column out. So that's the idea. Okay, so as you guys can see, we can actually scoot this thing over, and now we have space for that bolt. That guy. So look at all that space we got now. Before we didn't have any. Before we were like this. So now we're like this. Not too bad, huh? Okay, so loosen up the dipstick, and you should be able to get the heat shield off. Install long tubes, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Okay, so might as well just go ahead and pull the dipstick off too. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, we cleared up the top. We're ready to proceed and move to the bottom of the car. As you guys can see, we already quick jacked it up. So let's get to it. There's a huge skid plate on the bottom, so that's going to take a little bit, but we'll go from there. We'll see if we can get the bottom of the bolts from the bottom without taking the tires off, because I hear you have to take the tires off to get to the bolts, but it looks like I get them from the bottom. So let's try that first. Pain in the ass, but it's done. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's a comparison. To be quite honest with you guys, I mean, these stock exhaust manifolds look pretty stout. Large diameter piping. I mean, if there is a gains, it's probably going to be because of the catalytic converter. That's just my opinion, because these things look pretty stout, but I've been wrong more than once, actually. Even the X-pipe's not bad. Like, you see how it's round all around? On the Camaros, they're pinched, and you know, you got pinched pipe everywhere. But on the Corvettes, I mean, it's definitely not bad off the showroom floor. I think that the gains are going to come from, like I said, the kitty cats. But I mean, I may be wrong. You know, you have a primary for each cylinder versus, you know, all of them collecting here. But I mean, we'll see. Should be interesting to see how much power this car gains. But let's continue. Let's go see if we're gonna be able to get the long tube in, because remember, if you can't raise the car high enough, you can't pitch them enough to get them to go up. So hopefully the quick jack pulls it off, because I mean, that's basically the only thing I could fit in here. So yeah, let's try that. If anything, worst case scenario, I'll probably have to lower it and then re-raise it and figure something out. But yeah, let's keep moving. Okay, so we're officially stopping right now because the driver's side header doesn't line up at the flange, and then the passenger side header, when bolted on, it actually hits on the body, so we won't be able to get the X-pipe on. So that sucks. My buddy's gonna reach out to Speed Engineering and see if we could get maybe a replacement batch, because I guess there was from what I'm reading on the forums, there's a batch of these that went out that were bad, and we have the exact same thing that those guys were mentioning. So never cheap out on long tubes ever. So lesson learned. This is why I stuck with my Blackheart Hooker Shorty headers. They're a good brand and easy to install, because this is a pain in the ass. Alright guys, so we're gonna go ahead and close this video out. But Unfortunately, we won't be able to use the Speed Engineering long tube headers. Although they're a great bargain, they had some fitment issues for the C7 Corvettes. We've been back and forth basically with Speed Engineering, and we have to modify the flanges to make them fit. So we went ahead and did that. We made the hole half-inch larger, like they said, and we still can't get the back bolt to line up well with the head. So we're just gonna go ahead and return these. Not saying they're a bad product or anything like that, because we use these on other builds and they work pretty good. But for this instant on the C7 Corvette, they didn't work well for us. Speed Engineering says that, you know, they have a 1,000 horsepower car with these headers and they have no issues, even with the holes being that large. But we don't want to risk it, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. This is a factory hole here, but in order to make them fit, you have to make the hole half-inch. But look at all this play. So I still have to make this bolt a little oblong so it could fit the last bolt, but I don't want to do that, and Danny doesn't want to do that, so we're gonna go ahead and send these back. And it's unfortunate, really, because there are some good looking headers, but you know, we want to avoid, you know, the header shifting in the future or exhaust leak issues and things like that, because as you guys can see, it is not easy to get to the headers on a Corvette. So that's where we're at. So we're gonna go ahead and ship these back to Speed Engineering, and you know, we appreciate the fact that they took these back and all that stuff, but they're aware of the issue, and you know, unfortunately they don't have a new batch coming out, so we're just not gonna run them. Figure something out, and we will either put the stock stuff back on and maybe look for a high flowing X pipe or something like that. We don't know yet, but the project will continue. We have other stuff to do, so yeah, over and out, guys.